Hey, good people. I'm starting a Martyrium thing because I'm doing that with one of my patrons here, Zeo. And yeah, I had to figure out this riff myself recently for that lesson. So let's get into it. I want to do this in little bits again. And a few of the riffs I have to figure out myself again because no full legit tab exists for this, so I have to write one. Anyway, so it's the song Martyrium, and as always, there's like a little funny story that I can tell you with every riff and arrangement. So this riff was basically an imitation or like a variation on a riff that AJ sang to me when we did like a tour, a Euro tour, 2010 or something. Yeah, that should be right. And he sang a riff to us basically, and then Christian started trying to put the actual notes down, and I took it home with me as well, and then I found the notes for it that I thought was the perfect realization of the riff that AJ was singing. So basically this riff started like this. And this is a 5/4 basically. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these are basically the root notes. Sounds very sounds almost like Oriental. And yeah, funny enough, so far I didn't use the first fret, which would be in E, would be the Phrygian second, the B2. So this is already something kind of a little bit not so typical, but we got the tritone in there, so that's that. And then so the C and the E here are very kind of resolved for defeated standards, so that's a little weird too, but there's a little thing that changes later anyways. And then we repeat the whole thing. So now we're putting in the Phrygian second, the F, so these are this is pitch material that's more typical for defeated. So basically the riff starts a little bit more harmless than it ends, so that's something that I really like. For bring the best part of it later, rather than earlier. That. And then the only thing that we added was put, you could start with power chords. But then the higher power chords that start on the A string, I always back them up with the fourth, the perfect fourth underneath, so it sounds fatter. Check out this, and now this. Just makes it sound fatter. So anyways, that is basically the verse riff. That was the thing that was there first. And AJ and Chris and I kind of worked on it. And yeah, I basically pinned down the notes, and I'm still very happy with it, like 12 years later or whatever. But anyways, so my idea here was, okay, this is the verse. It's nice. Or it's like a chunky riff, you know. But then I decided I wanted to make a tech version of this riff, where I take the movement of it, you know, so it first goes like from a low note to a high note, and then it goes from a high note to a lower note. First it's, then it's, and I kind of wanted to put that in this tech kind of form. So this is a kind of a project. So this is one of the heaviest, most difficult riffs to play in Defeated history. No, hands down. So yeah, of course I made everything faster. So instead of I decided to go. So you basically need the double the amount of notes, and I decided to just start with chords. So yeah, it's basically, I'm gonna show you the first chord now that I used, which is also the thing that starts the song live when we play it live. So it's a little bit of a stretch here. It starts on the G10, which is again the Phrygian second, and then we're going to D6, and then we're basically creating the octave to this minor 9 here. And at the end comes the root note, the E. Those are the first 4 notes. So it's basically a chord that's being alternate picked, because, you know, we were never good at speed picking, so we kind of used a tempo that made it possible to go alternate picking, although it could be yeah, I still don't know if you can actually play that riff with sweep picking, but it wasn't written for that, so it's very hard. I think it would be very hard to do it with sweep picking. So it's alternate picking. So this little chord is very Phrygian dominant, actually. So it's got the Phrygian second, and then it's got this major third. So it's basically coming from a very traditional point traditional metal stuff. Okay, so this is the first chord that we're using, and now there's filler parts that come in between. So now we have 4 hits that are supposed to fill out this chord. And again, I used something very traditional here in the beginning. So it's on the E, everything's on the E string, and it's 7, 8, 0, 0. So this is old school thrash stuff. So it's kind of like, I don't know, it could be a possessed riff or whatever. But so this is just to fill out this chord, and yeah, it's kind of filler material really. Which is, you know, not a negative thing. Just when you write something fast, you need to create mass. You need to, you know, and it also still has to be playable. So the big attraction here is this chord. And then we fill it out with. Okay, so now it goes on. First of all, I want to say something about this intro. We decided to just hold this chord. And then we're also playing the highest 2 notes, so we can the intro actually goes. You know, and then you start. So it's a great setup for this song. Anyways, now I decided to play something that's very outside harmonically. It's one of the times where I really chose some notes that don't really make any sense tonally, but actually they're doing, I don't know, they're really atonal notes. So it's like it has a tonal thing, because you know what you all have in your ear right now is this. You know, something very traditional actually. But then I wanted to break away from that. So now I used 2 more chords. So these chords are pretty cool, you know. They don't really make a lot of sense, but somehow it just sounds so ugly. So, and they're pretty dumb in a way too. So, okay, it's this weird chord here. So it's D7, A4, and then it is E6, and then we're using the low E, so E0. Yeah, so it's another group of 4. It's basically another chord, like an arpeggio. Again, you could sweep that stuff, but it's all alternate picking. And then something happens that almost never happens with defeated. We do the same thing, just a string up. So we're taking this chord and we're playing it just 1 string higher. And then we're actually also playing the open A, which, you know, I usually am strongly against. So you hear this, and it's a weird jump, like. So what we have so far is this chord and these two chords. And now we have some filler material that is actually quite fucking lovely, because now we're kind of going back into the tonality. So this is the last group of 4 for the first part of this theme. And it's 3 notes on the E string, namely 8, 11, and 7. And then on the A string we play 10. I have to stress really hard, don't use the pinky for this, because that's what you usually would do. Now you have to stretch your third finger, because you will need the third finger for this, because after that we're done with the first loop and we start from the beginning. So we need our pinky here. So you have to play it with fingers 1, 3, 1, 3. So the pinky can land without problems at the beginning. Anyways, now we can play the first loop of this riff, which is, as I said, a 5. Yeah, I also love this area, basically. It's fun to practice it, and it's kind of, you need that practice, because this is a very, very complicated thing. To have this and this on the same fret is kind of shitty. But I also love how, I don't know how the tonality works. I kind of hear these notes form an alliance, kind of. It's kind of, I don't know, it's one of those magic moments where I really am happy what happened here. That is in there, kind of, you know? Yeah, but I could talk about this riff some more, you know, it's like there's a lot of weird things in it. So basically what we did now, we imitated, you know? Basically it's instead of. So that's basically what happens. It's an imitation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's the way I'm counting it. I hope you get what I mean. It's an imitation of this chunky riff that AJ came up with, but you know, with the help of chords. So the next run through of the riff has to be an imitation of the next thing, where there's a higher thing coming up first. And this is what I did. And I picked some very disgusting notes, some very atonal notes to achieve that. So we're starting the loop again the same way we started the first time. So these 8 notes remain the same. But now we're not going here, but we're going to a higher place to, as I said, imitate that first riff. Now it's this augmented thing that happens, which is B11, G7, D8, and A9. So this is basically the peak note here for this riff. And as I said, it imitates this. And then that's the only new thing that happens. And then we're going back to this incarnation of that chord. So the G7, D4, and A6, and then A0 actually. So it's now again very atonal. Yeah, you know, it almost doesn't make sense in a way, but sometimes things you can't explain sound the best. I don't know. But yeah, there's 4 notes that we need to make it still 5/4 or whatever we want to call it, and they are. So after that A, let's imagine the A is here. I thought it was cool to go down chromatically, so I could have done. But as you know, I don't like chromaticism like that, so I'm going in whole tones. So it's after that it's 4, 2, 3, 1. So that's the ending of that riff. And then you somehow get back to E, but it is a very atonal riff, and I think the verse riff really brings the tonality. So yeah, here you have it. You know what? I'll play it really slow for you. I feel like I don't do that enough. That's the riff, and the problem is it's fast. I haven't played it in a long time, really. I didn't practice it in a long time. I remember when I came up with this riff, I worked on it for 5 hours, and at the end, like my fucking guitar neck started bending. It was like hallucinogenic effects. or something. Weird shit, man. But yeah, it's a very hard riff. One of the really, like, it goes over 5 strings. 5 strings are involved and alternate picking. It's almost impossible at the speed that we played it live. So I'll try to play it moderate first. So this is basically how it appears. We have a theme, which is the tackified version of AJ's riff, and then we have the verse where we bring the vocals in, which is the chunky part in the beginning. So if we're talking about two different parts, we could say it goes A B A B. Theme verse. It's a very clear, orderly structure. First you have some text stuff with blast, and then that's 4 bars, and then you have 4 bars of the verse, which is like double bass and like a groove and vocals, and then you go back to the theme, and then you go back to the verse. Them really being the same riff, I almost want to call them A and A star or something. So it's A star, A star. But yeah, this is how far I want to take it for this lesson. I just wanted to talk about the theme and the verse, which was, basically what started the song. And then we spun it forth. And some of these riffs I yet have to find out, so it might take a little longer till we get to that. Let me do one more version where I'm trying to not swallow as many notes. It's pretty fucking hard, and I'll also try to get more near the original tempo. Fuck. Heavy shit, man. And I know we played it a lot faster. I don't know how Christian managed that. It's so many strings involved. I feel like the bass saves it, because the bass can do it with the fingers, and Jacob at least can. He's very accurate, and it feels like Jacob carries the notes for that thing. If whichever guitarist has to play this, you always end up swallowing a few fucking notes, but the bass brings it out. And the bass plays the exact same thing. So it's like almost like in an orchestra where, there's not just one violin playing the same voice, but it's like a bunch of them. So if someone fucks up once, the other violinist will catch that, and which almost never happens anyway. So it's like basically they're eliminating mistakes that way. But yeah, if a bass and a guitar play the same riff, it kind of has that same effect. Anyways, I'll see you next time, and I'll talk about the pre-chorus, I guess. I'd call it the pre-chorus. Anyways, later.